human beings tend to be creators of meaning. You see that, even when people don't really know why they did something, because perhaps they have a certain condition, they will make up stories to explain why they did something that they genuinely had no idea why they did. So there is this construction of narratives that appears to be quite prevalent for us. The importance to, so it's like it's not sufficient to experience something. You have to create a story around it. Otherwise, it's like you haven't experienced anything at all. And so the way you construct that narrative, is also going to shape, in a way, yourself and how you position yourself in the world.
That is so true. Like, you get a lot of people who have an experience, whether it's, doesn't matter what their experience is, religious experience or just a regular day-to-day shopping. They went shopping and met somebody, and a lot of times they'll tell the story to somebody and they'll overemphasize things that didn't really happen, but they sort of just throw, and they don't even, it's like you don't even realize they're doing it. It's just like automatic. Like you said, we like to put these narratives in there, and I don't know, what do you think that is? Why do we do that? It's really strange. It's really fascinating, actually.
Yeah, I think that not even neurobiologists know exactly, but I know that, for instance, even when people have diseases such as Alzheimer and they do something and they generally don't know why they did it or how they went to, what happened, they will construct a narrative when they are still able to do so, even when it is completely false and fabricated. But yeah, it seems that our brain works through narratives. Here I'm speculating, of course. I'm not talking out of peer-reviewed research as I usually do on my channel, but my speculation would be that it might be because, and here I'm borrowing from Buddhism, it might be because the way we understand the world is filtered by language, and language works by creating narratives. So you need to have a subject, a verb, and an object. And so by the very fact that we need to construct a sentence in a certain way, you are already creating a story. And there's no way for us to experience the words other than that. Because especially when we explain it, we need language to do so. And when you have to use language to explain things, you are inevitably going to emphasize certain things and not others. And that creates a certain discourse and a certain narrative that actually shapes, the way you actually see that experience, the way you convey to others, and how you position. Also, it creates a narrative of the self, of yourself.
Yeah. And even like historians, when they talk about history, they mythologize it a little bit, especially when you go farther back. Ancient historians like Herodotus, he's talking about people with one eye and all dragons and stuff that clearly wasn't really going on, but it's just, there's a prime example of a human telling a story and just not even realizing he's mythologizing history. But I also want to ask you, you mentioned tarot a couple minutes ago. You mentioned tarot cards. How do people read those, and how does it how does that work?
That's a bit too generic. The tarot cards seem to be very important for those who practice magic, and it's not just because, well, of course, the main function of tarot cards is divination, but that's not limited to that now. People use tarot cards also as a way to aid their magic rituals, or as a way of bonding with another practitioner, or as a way to get in touch and connect themselves to a specific archetype that a card is linked to. So tarot cards seem to be kind of considered portals portals of correspondences that also put practitioners in contact with those, allow that connection to occur. Connection is one of those terms that I really like to when it comes to describe magic and magic practice, because I really think that perhaps the two key terms are connection and experience. And connection is also linked to correspondences, because correspondences are meant to link things and connect things together that appear not to be connected at first, but like a walnut that is connected to a human brain is not something that is clearly linked, but it is a correspondence that creates and draws upon a believed connection.
Yeah. And it reminds me of like ancient ways of figuring, like when people used to inquire about things. For example, should we invade this country? Well, I don't know. Let's cast some lots and see what happens, and see what the divines tell us. And this was like actually a way of deciding on big things, like important things that we should do. Or they'll like try to find an omen somehow. Maybe the birds will fly past, and it's almost like you said earlier, it's almost like our human nature wants to connect to the world to find answers. And it's almost like, and almost people think that this is like not natural, but I think it's natural. You know what I'm saying? I think this is part of natural evolution, is all this, everything we're talking about. It's just a part of our psyche.
Yeah, when it comes to the term evolution and the idea of evolution, I have my doubts in terms of I think that the concept of evolution that was developed by Charles Darwin when it comes to our biology has been perhaps overly applied to things that are not necessarily biological, like to culture as well, and that created a misunderstanding of the past, because we started once again creating a narrative to interpret history, and that narrative now, after the evolutionary model, now says that history moves from worse to better, and so what comes before us isn't necessarily worse than what we have today, and what will happen after us or ahead of us is necessarily better. But that also creates certain ideas like of something or a concept or a culture being primitive and backward. You can even these terms that we use in our language suggest that the evolutionary model has permeated culture beyond biology, and I don't quite agree with it, because I think that it sort of leads us to misinterpret the past and the present and future.
I understand that. That makes sense. What is the difference between chaos magic and just magic?
Well, chaos magic is a form of magic that has stemmed out of, Crowley, and it has Crowley as a precursor, as many other Western historic traditions. Chaos magic is a practice of magic that creates, in a way, its own rules. Like we talked about correspondences, and in the Renaissance, you would have the idea that there's this hidden book of nature that you have to unravel, and you have to figure out what are these hidden correspondences and what object is connected to which experience, and so on. In chaos magic, you have that correspondences are created by the chaos magician. So it's all based on the individual. So if for me, red is connected to the element air, I don't care if other people consider it connected, think that it is connected to the element of fire, because for me, that is the kind of correspondences that that is in place, and so the one that I'm going to apply. So it is very, I'd say, individually based. So in a way, we could say that it is a form of self-discovery, and trying to, instead of revealing the hidden book of nature, rather revealing the hidden book of yourself, of the self, and seeing what are the correspondences that might work for me because they have that specific meaning to me.
Right.
And on the same line, you have the idea of working with deities, which can be instrumental to a certain purpose. So, if I think that my colleague is an energetic vampire, I might invoke Buffy as a deity, and it now becomes a deity that will help me slay the vampire. So there is this kind of myth creating based on personal experience and things that are meaningful to the magician. And there is also this creation of even ad hoc deities for a specific purpose. And in some cases, the chaos magician won't even believe that they are actual deities, but the very concept of deity can be instrumental.
So
I'm not saying
it's more individualized than collectivized magic, and chaos would be more individual, right? Or no?
Yeah, chaos magician can also work together, and in that case the center will be the group beyond the self. But it tends to be there tends to be a tailoring of the practice that goes beyond. There are certain elements of the tradition, like the very idea of correspondences and deities is obviously drawn from other traditions. It's not like they are demolishing everything, but they are trying to go straight to what works and try to avoid, ritualisms which they consider unnecessary.
Yeah.
And also they try to challenge the principle of non-contradiction. And yeah, it's an interesting tradition. I should make more videos on it.